In a world full of mysteries and wonders, where do you stand when it comes to the nature of reality? Maybe reality is a figment of our imagination, created by thoughts, or reality is simply the physical things around us. A reality can be best described as combining both materialism and idealism, creating objective idealism. Objective idealism is that definite material objects exist, but don't have a real meaning until given one by a thinking being. There are many examples of objective idealism. I have a chair, an infant, and a table. A chair-like object, human beings, are the thinking beings, created the meaning of a chair, but it could also very well be a stepladder. Or an infant, for example, is really just a baby at birth until two thinking beings, a mom and dad, give it a name, and that's its identity for the rest of his or her life. Or a table. It could be a bed, a desk, anything else that we could think of a table to be like, but human beings came up with a table-like object to be called a table. Objective idealism allows thoughts to create reality, but accept that physical objects do exist. In order to understand why objective idealism is most compelling, you need to know the difference between materialism and idealism and where they stay strong to. Materialism is that the physical world around us is made of materials and all the physical things that can be measured, experienced, calculated through empirical science, or perceived by our senses. Through the vast expansion in modern-day science, modern researchers can show that energy and matter are the only things permanent on Earth. The thing is, it's as if the brain is a product of the world. The problems with this is that the senses are deceiving, as we saw in epistemology. And what about the subconscious? The mind and the brain are two separate things, so where does that exist? Opposing this viewpoint is idealism. Idealism is that thoughts create reality. George Berkeley said, "To be is to be perceived." It is as if I don't perceive a tree, then there's no tree there. And this relates to the whole idea that we're the perceivers of life with an overarching perceiver perceiving us. This one is as if the world is a product of our mind. All objects are a manifestation of our ideas. It also is that everything and everyone is interconnected in a web, like Alan Watts' video that we saw. Quantum physics supports the idea of unity and entanglement at the subatomic level, and when being observed, it shows that objects may or may not be there, or they might be moving, we don't really know. And the thing is, that's at the subatomic level, not the atomic level that we live in every day now. So idealism is definitely more compelling because it also raises, objective idealism is more compelling because idealism raises the question of what is the self. John Locke says that the same consciousness that makes a man be himself to himself is the identity of people. It's weird because humans change but remain the same identity through it all into the end. And it's impossible to become someone else. We can try as hard as we want, but if you can ever experience the same feelings, emotions, expressions, anything that other person felt, it's impossible to become someone else. The problems with this is that the mind and soul are immaterial substances. They're not physical, so we cannot prove if a mind and a soul even exist. But a mind and a soul have to exist, so there must be potential for its existence. If materialism and idealism raise all these questions, objective idealism creates the happy medium. Objective idealism, German philosopher Hegel says that reality is as a single, all-inclusive mind. He says also that there's this absolute that contains all possibilities and is ever-changing and constantly growing. This relates back to the perceiver of life perceiving us as an overarching perceiver. The problem with this is that he substitutes God in a circular reasoning, and that makes it no clearer in the end. Personally, objective idealism is still more compelling because it's better than taking one side over another of materialism or idealism. Determinism and causality. If we are under this so-called absolute, then the paths are created and predetermined for everyone already. Examples are electricity, leaves, the mosquitoes, or even more complex, people. Electricity, it doesn't have a choice to turn itself on or off. It is manipulated by the external forces, us humans, that turn it on or off to make the lights go on. Same with leaves. They're all different, color, shape, sizes, and every single leaf is already determined when it will fall off the tree based on their external stimuli. The weather, the wind, anything that will affect it will make each leaf fall off the tree when it's supposed to. Same with mosquitoes and where they choose to fly around and land, and even more complex is people. But we are no different than the whole idea of the leaves or the electricity. Now, everyone is different and has a different effect. Therefore, every cause has a different effect, and that's causality. The problem with this is if you go backwards on the causality list, You have to find an uncaused cause or no beginning at all. That's problematic and unsatisfactory. Also, we are not living outside this so-called absolute, so there's no way of determining where each of us are in the end, even if it seems theoretically possible. An easier perspective is thinking of rolling a dice. It might seem by chance of what the numbers you get, but it's really all by physics and is determined already. Depending on how hard you roll the dice, the angles it hits the table, the speed it is at, or anything else that's related to physics will determine the numbers that you get. Now, Creed Hyatt always said, complexity does not equal impossibility. So even if it's not easy to grasp the whole thought of an absolute above us, impossibility, it's not there. So determinism and free will also comes across that humans are governed by choices. The only way to know the Book of Destiny is to be outside the Book of Destiny. These choices are really just an illusion because we're not outside this absolute, so there's no way to determine where each of us will go in our own system. The choices are an illusion, and the brain chooses what is best for each person based off of the external stimuli. And it's like the mind's eye chooses for each person every decision that they do. And we might even be determined to sense that choices are being real in order to prevent chaos and to keep a stable lifestyle. An example is if I was going to die tomorrow. I can try everything in my power to prevent myself from dying tomorrow, but no matter what, the mechanics will add up and I will still pass away tomorrow. Now, we're socially conditioned to think that choices exist because of political freedom or other circumstances. For example, the Skinner box and the rats pushing the lever to get food or not at the sound of a bell. No, it's Pavlov's dog, sorry. Pavlov's dogs are conditioned to salivate at the bell with their food, and the wise saying you can be anything you want when you grow up. We have to live as if these choices exist in order to prevent chaos, the loss of responsibility, and freedom. Because then anyone can go and commit a murder or cheat on a test and say, I was determined to do that, and that can't happen. So we have to live a better lifestyle by thinking we have choices and that they're not predetermined. So I know none of these concepts are easy to grasp for anyone, but it's best compelling to view it through objective idealism in a world that will never answer the question of what is reality. We need to believe that there are choices and that they're not predetermined, even if we are under this greater system. Thank you.